Hello, everybody. We're getting elevated on the show tonight as we scale every side of the Mountain West Conference. Mike and Eric will join me in studio to explore the peaks and valleys, including a spotlight on returning players, transfers into the Mountain West, and of course, our famous Tiers segment where we put on our meteorologist hats and forecast every team's outlook in the conference. Let's get to it. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drrodo.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a One y Done, your fast break of college basketball información, and we are powered by the universe's greatest website. That's drrodo.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich. I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. Follow me and I will smash that follow back button because I am a follow back girl indeed. 3 deep in the studio tonight here on the show. Let's get right to the broskies, starting off with the man that we call El Capitan himself, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. He does the ship, I do the train. Eric does a lot of other things as well. But first, of course, find him on X, NMC Holland 34, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
What it do? We have this time 4 weeks from now, we will literally have results from the first college basketball games of the season. So if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. Go back and check out all the content. We did a ton of content over the summer. I posted on Twitter saying that who's been covering this year round. You guys here at One and Done have definitely been covering this year round. We previewed 24 conferences already, I believe. We did 22 of the mid-major, 2 solo conference preview shows with the WCC and AAC. We don't count multi-bid leagues as your traditional mid-majors. And yeah, man, I'm excited. Mountain West time. And then we got the big boys right after that. So let's get this thing going, man.
Right around the corner indeed. And you know who's right around the corner? He might be last in the intros, but you bet your sweet bottom that man is first in your hearts, in sus corazones, the Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media. You can find in those Twitter streets at Fantasy Nav. He's Eric the Blue. It's Mr. Eric Romoff. What's happening, man?
Man, we out here living. The hot box is slightly less hot tonight as we creep towards fall. We also forgot our obligatory reminder that we ain't breaking down no conferences with those dorks over in the Ivy League, especially not tonight. We're diving all the way in on one of our favorite brands of basketball, the Mountain West Conference. If you've been following along with us throughout the course of the offseason, you know that we've been coming straight at you with all of that necessary college basketball information. It doesn't slow down once the season starts. We're gearing up for DFS. We're gearing up for our Sunday recaps, our power rankings, articles over on drrodo.com, shorts on YouTube, shorts on TikTok, whatever it might be. Make sure that you're following along with us because this candle's about to get lit and it's going to the moon. You got to get in now.
Buy stock now. That's what I hear. Buy stock now in One and Done and Green Screens Media. Do it. I mean, invest. Dollar signs. Put them in the fire with the fire emojis in the live chat as we love you to do. Nobody in the live chat yet, but I know that's going to change. Make sure if you're hanging out with us, hop in there. Be the first one tonight. Say hey, say what's up, say what it do. Drop some fire emojis. Say what's up to our guy Nape C. Hustle at The Real Napier. Every once in a while, he hops in the live chat and he hops in the host chair sometimes too. But he's also doing some behind the scenes stuff and will be a big part of that top 20 returning players countdown that's coming soon to Twitter, to TikTok, to Instagram. So make sure you're following us on all those platforms at One and Done CBB. But most importantly, make sure that you are hanging out with us on YouTube at the Green Screens Media channel for sure. Hit all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells, so you don't miss anything that we're doing. Stuck on 1,159 subscribers right now. Who's going to be the person, the people the whoever, the giraffe at the the little baby hippo at the zoo. What's that hippo's name?
Oh, out there biting people's kneecaps. His name better be Dan Campbell.
What's his name? Mudang.
Mudang or something like that.
Something like that. Well,
Mudang. Yeah, Mudang can definitely subscribe. If you're a bot, if you're a bot out there, you want to subscribe, come on in. We got room for you.
Hey, the water is warm over here in one and done, but the air is thin in the Mountain West Conference. 11 teams in the Mountain West. Last year in the regular season, Utah State getting out and surprising everyone, edging everybody to win the regular season title there. And then in the conference tournament, New Mexico got a little bit, what we like to say, in fuego, knocking off Air Force, Boise, Colorado State, and San Diego State to win the conference tournament. Boise was somebody that, obviously Nevada and Boise were up there and all season long, and Utah State just held them off in the regular season title. But the New Mexico gets the automatic bid for the conference. Yeah, we talked to Coach Rice this offseason. Make sure you get over to the YouTube channel and check out all of our coaching interviews that we've done this year, last year. It's all good content. Just hang around the page for a while. Why not? Some good content over there with your broskies. And we're doing Mountain West tonight. In the NCAA tournament, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 bids to the tournament. And that's what Mike was talking about earlier. These aren't single bid leagues anymore. These aren't 1 or 2 bid. Like, we're getting into the big boys now, and the Mountain West definitely qualifies. And you can make an argument, gentlemen, that almost every single team was underseeded. San Diego State a 5 seed, Utah State an 8 seed, Nevada, Boise, and CSU with 10 Cs. And then they had Boise and Colorado State in the play-in too. New Mexico with an 11 seed. It felt like the disrespect was high. Yep. But then when you look at what happened in the first round, there were 4 first-round exits with CSU and Boise falling to Texas and Colorado. And then New Mexico State losing to Clemson, along with the Wolfpack collapsing down the stretch against Dayton. So, Utah State did beat the 9 seed TCU. And then, here's your gift. It's Purdue. Bye-bye. You lose by, 6 touchdowns against Purdue. And San Diego State, of course, we're used to them doing their thing in the tournament, made another Sweet 16, beating UAB and of known powerhouse Yale, but lose once again to eventual national champ UConn. KenPom had this conference rated 7th in the country, and that had 7 teams inside KenPom's top 75. We've seen that face, that handsome-looking face there, with the blue background on the screen. Not getting to chat very long, but guess what? It's headlines time, and we go to our guy, Eric. Eric, hit us with the headlines for the Mountain West.
Yeah, kicking off our headlines as we are one to do with some coaching changes. Fresno State bid adieu to Justin Hudson. They welcome in Vance Wahlberg to backfill him. Utah State saw Danny Sprinkle go and take that Washington job. They have replaced him. They have filled his opening with Gerard Calhoun. And in Wyoming, their head coach, Jeff Linder, decides to take the Texas Tech assistant spot that was open. Wyoming brings back friend of the program, Sundance Wicks, from his stint over at Green Bay. Other headline that we have to talk about here, big time Exodus moving
there it is.
out this conference in terms of talents. We've got Ladie, we've got Trammell, we've got Butler heading their way out of San Diego State. Blackshear and Lucas both left Nevada. House and Mashburn both said bye-bye to New Mexico. Brown and Osobor are no longer suiting up for Utah State. And we've also got Isaiah Stevens. He left the CSU Rams. So a lot of talented players going elsewhere. We talked a lot off the top about how this team how this league finally got 6 teams in the conference. I think we're going to see that number change this year, right? Maybe 3, maybe 4. Some of it has to do with the exodus of that talent. Some of it has to do with the modern landscape of college basketball. We've got these super conferences that are projecting to get 8, 9, 10 teams in. So, that fills up a bracket real quick, right? So I think the Mountain West might be down a couple teams from last year. The talent across the league is pointing down. Really what it's going to come down to is whether or not these teams can pick up some non-con wins to help boost their schedule and scoop up some of those at-large bids. Jay, you're kind enough to dish it to me. I'll pass it right back to you as you break down the lane.
Yeah, well, listen, guys, I have lamented on this show plenty times about the number of bids that the Big Ten would get, and joke about there being 10 bids in the Big Ten before. But now, all seriousness, these are things with the size of these conferences and the quality of teams in it. It's the real deal. It's happening. So we're going to have to deal with that in terms of some of these lower conferences. And we talked about the disrespect that they got seeding wise already, right? So in terms of getting them into the tournament in a field where those bids are going to be cut down, again, losing 4 out of the 6 first round games last year. I hit on that earlier. Is the respect there for them to get any more than 3 bids? And let's dive in right now. Why don't we do that? Why don't we get into some returning players now? These guys they're proven last year. They've carried the water for their respective teams. And we're going to start off with some duos here. And we're going to start in Boise with the Broncos duo of Tyson Degenhart and Omar Stanley, a couple of front court mates there for the Broncos. First team and second team all Mountain West respectively from left to right. And Mike, easily, hands down, the best duo returning in this conference.
Yeah, easily the best duo. I mean, Degenhart, 16.5 points, 6 boards. Omar Stanley, 13 points, 6.5 boards. So, you got 2 experienced guys. Degenhart had the heart and soul of this program. He's coming off a career year, heading into year 4 with the program. When you profile him, he's just really skilled around the basket. He's continuing to stretch his game out. Got up to 32% from 3 last year. So if he takes that up another couple of notches, going to be even more dangerous. But he loves contact. He can get to the line. Stanley came over, spent a couple of years at St. John's, clearly found a program and a role that suits him, one that he could thrive in. Super versatile defender. He can guard inside and out. On the offensive end, I mean, his game is still growing, although he did lead the team in usage, which was a huge step up. He had never had that kind of workload. So his efficiency wasn't there, especially against top competition, it was much lower. So with the year under his belt in the system, he should make him even more dangerous on both ends here. But if you're staring at all the guys that exited this conference, Boise State's Coach Rice here, pretty happy to have this duo back for sure.
It'd be hard not to have a smile on your face walking around with these 2 guys in your front court, just knowing that they're coming back, and that immediately puts you in the conversation for the upper tier of this conference. And we'll hit on those tiers later, where we will slot every team into a tier, high, mid, and low. But first, let's get to another duo here. And this time it's out in New Mexico. This time it's Donovan Dent and Nelly Jr. Joseph out there. Dent averaged 14 points, 5.5 dimes, a steal and a half per, and 38% from beyond the arc on his way to second team all Mountain West honors. And then Junior Joseph there, 9 points, 8 boards, not too shabby himself. 2 guys, Eric, who have the ability to dominate their respective positions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with Donovan Dent here. One of the top sophomores in the country last season, at points throughout the course of the year, especially early in the season. House missed a bit of time. Mashburn missed a bit of time. And Dent was really the one who stepped up and put this team on his shoulders, right? He can hurt you from all 3 levels. Offensively, he's a tremendous creator. But what's scariest is, even to go alongside with that, he's one of the better defensive players on this team and in the conversation in this league, right? So I wouldn't be shocked to see him holding a Mountain West Conference POY trophy at the end of the year. Switching over to Nelly Jr. Joseph, he came from Rick Pitino's Iona squad. and was, at least when he was there, they were one of the top mid-major teams in all of the country. Posted double-doubles while he was there. Has a legit shot at doing it again this year, like Dent. Nice two-way guy. He's going to do a lot of his damage from around the rim on both ends, so you like to see him contributing on each side of the court. He's now heading into year number 5, so I'd expect his usage on the offensive side to go back to where it was during his time at Iona.
Donovan Dent and Nelly Jr. Joseph going to do big things out in New Mexico this year. A couple of duos there for the conference, and it wouldn't be a conference preview show without a 5-pack. So we're going to give you 5 other returning players to watch in the Mountain West Conference, and what a 5-pack it is. While we're pulling that stuff up, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Turn on those notification bells so you don't miss anything. Not one single solitary second that your broskies are on the air. And we welcome everybody to come in. Like Eric said, doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing back there. Hey, just, just hanging out. You get on YouTube once a year. Hey, hit the button for us. It should be right now. Boom, hit it. Do your thing over there. But let's get to that 5-pack of other returning players that we want to watch in this conference. Mike, an absolute impressive display of talent here. Nick Clifford averaged 12 points, 7 boards, third team All Mountain West last year for Colorado State. Nick Davidson for Nevada, 12 points, 7 boards, also third team All Conference. Reese Waters, the San Diego State guard, 9 points, 4 boards. Deaton Thomas Jr., the running Rebel guard out there in Vegas, 13.5 points, 5 assists, and 36% from 3. First team All Conference in Martinez. Rounding it out from Utah State there, 13 points and 38% from deep. A bunch of talent on this list here. Mike, you want to start with our guy Neek and then go from there?
Yeah, so Neek is the guy I was a little shocked. Thought he was going to head out, start his professional career with Isaiah Stevens, but luckily for Colorado State, he pulls his name out of the draft process, and he really shined in the system. He spent 3 years at his old rival there, Colorado. And, coming over, really found a spot in this rotation and was able to show that he could be a two-way contributor. I mean, I would consider him to probably be the best two-way player in this league coming into the year, at least on paper. Defensively, he can lock his guy down. On offense, he can do a little bit of everything from the wing. So love to see his game, and he's going to be one of the top players in the league. Nick Davidson's really interesting. He put up a big year. I know he got third team honors, right? But it's kind of quiet because you had that potent offensive Blackshear and Lucas. Like everybody was focused on that backcourt there. So without those guys, Davidson obviously going to need to step it up a little bit. Obviously not the same position, but at 6'9", he's going to be able to rebound, block shots. He's going to knock down the occasional 3 for these guys. So I would like to see him attack the post and get to the free throw line a little bit more this coming year. But I expect him to be one of the top bigs in the country. Eric, why don't you take the next 2 here with Reese Waters and Deaton Thomas, man? What do you got?
Yeah, kicking it off with Waters, the runway, maybe dare I even say the water in front of him is clear, right? Trammell has cleared out, Butler has cleared out the door. So now he has an opportunity to step up and soak up a lot of that usage. He is a former USC product. He's known as a scorer, and that is kind of a deficiency when you look at the San Diego State team, right? So hopefully he'll be able to use his 4 years of experience, the first 3 of which came at the high major level with his time as a Trojan, and be able to contribute on the offensive side. We're probably going to see him on the ball a little bit more this year. So that's definitely a storyline to watch as we head in. And if San Diego State wants to continue their dominance in this league, I think a lot of that is gonna have to do with the play and the ways in which that Waters can contribute this year. And then Deaton Thomas, the next man up here on the list, just coming in off of a spectacular freshman season. He entered the portal but ended up returning to UNLV. So definitely was a win for this program to retain this type of talent. The kid is just so good, and we're really just scratching the surface at this point, right? So, what you love to see is his production. It sustained itself, right? Like, in the 10 games against top level competition, he was at his best and was able to to reach back and answer that bell, right? So a lot of excitement for Thomas as he is now on the short list of the POY favorites heading into the season this year in the Mountain West. Mike, one more here. Ian Martinez, what do we need to know about this young man?
Yeah, so Coach Calhoun, I mean, this is an excellent retain. I mean, going into the fifth year, right? That's kind of a common theme this entire year. But last year was literally the first year he got big minutes, and he didn't disappoint. I mean, he's more of an off-ball scorer. Darius Brown and Mitch is not there. Great Osobor not there. So those looks probably going to have to create a little bit more than what he was able to see from a floor spacing ability with those two guys on the floor. But, it's an off-ball scorer. He gives you versatility on the defensive end. So I look for Martinez here to pick it up where we left off. So I'm really liking obviously these 5 players returning. Hate to make the headlines about the guys that are out, but I mean clearly some of those guys were dominant players, not just in this league but in the country. So when you get 5 guys like this, and the talent is maybe a little more sparse than what we think last year, it's going to make even that much of a difference, I think, this year. So these 5 guys super important this year.
Clifford pulls out of the draft. Thomas Jr. pulls out of the portal. And then, of course, Davidson, Waters, and Martinez all returning as well, returning and looking to be a big-time difference maker in the Mountain West. And one of you decided to be a big-time difference maker and get us to 1,160 subs. Thank you very much.
Hey, yo.
Appreciate you pushing us over that little milestone there. Thank you so much for doing that.
It was that hippo, wasn't it?
It had to have been
or the bot,
that kneecap biter, or
Welcome.
one of those bots. And you know who's not a bot? It's our guy, one of the OGs in the
comments section,
the live chat. It's C Thuggin.
Cam.
Our guy Cammy Camerson. What's up, Cam? Mountain West will have some low-key fun guys on the slate. Yeah, we will be talking Mountain West when we get in those DFS streets for sure. We are glad to have you back as well, Cam, hanging out with us in the live chat. Always good to see a familiar name and a familiar face over there. Cam's friendly guys and gals, broskies and broskets. Hop in that live chat with them over there. Drop how you're feeling about the Mountain West. Do you feel like there's going to be some fun? Do you feel like we're going to have some fun on the night in and night out basis? I do. I agree with Cam. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But Cam, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hit all those buttons, like and subscribe, notification bells like we know Cam did. Cam has all those buttons pushed, and we appreciate them for that for sure. Okay, we hit on the guys that stuck around. Now it's time to talk about the transfers into this fine basketball conference. And what do you know? It's a 5-pack. Here on one and done. Look at it right there. It's so nice on the screen there. Alvaro Cardenas, the Boise State guard, transferring in from San Jose State. Bowen Bourne, formerly of Northern Iowa, now of Colorado State. Kobe Sanders, now of Nevada, came in from Cal Poly. Nick Boyd, now an Aztec of San Diego State, where he was formerly an Owl of Florida Atlantic. And then Dexter Akano, Utah State guard, was out there on stayed out west-ish, coming from Oregon State. So, Eric, I'll start with you here with the transfers. 5 guys there coming into this conference that are going to make a difference. Who do you want to start with in terms of breaking this list down?
I'll keep things simple and start at the top. Alvaro Cardenas. Inter-conference transfer, which is always interesting, right? You get to see the chess pieces move along the board. We know that Boise State has the 2 bigs. We've talked a lot about their duo already at this point. Now they've got a quarterback for their offense in Cardenas. He played big minutes in the last 2 years in this conference. He managed to contribute better than 2.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio last year, which is just such an impactful stat for ball handlers. The Spaniard is going to be the straw that stirs the drink. And when we talked to Coach Rice back in the summer, absolutely gushed about this kid. So a lot of excitement about him coming in to this program. If you haven't seen that conversation, if you want to hear the words from the man himself, go check out that conversation on our interviews playlist. You can see that interview and all of our coaching interviews right here on YouTube. But I digress, I'll head back to the task at hand. Boone, the other name I want to mention here. Absolutely lethal scorer, ton of experience, 4 years at Northern Iowa, led that team in usage rate for the last 2 of those 4 years. Just an absolutely excellent shooter. He takes care of the ball, not going to get you any costly turnovers, really has that savvy veteran presence that will help ease the loss of Isaiah Stevens for this Rams team. So, Mike, I worked my way down the list. We're going to keep going in sequential order here.
Yeah, I think Mike will, but first we want to make sure we get to Cam here. It looks like Cam done a little advanced scouting here on
recon.
Bourne out there. Yeah, watching him in his high school days out there in Utah. Good scouting report there from Cam in the live chat. And yeah, I mean, this is again one of those players, Mike, that Bourne is, where if you take care of the ball and your team can trust to continue to put the ball in your hands, like good things are going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want somebody that's going to, absolutely knock it down from range, just going to make the game easier for all the guys around him, plus his experience and his leadership. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Cardenas, too. Him and Boone definitely going to be 2 of the better players in this conference. A guy that has the ceiling to be one of the better players in this conference, we'll just kind of have to see how it all plays out for him, is Kobe Sanders. I mean, guys, he put up big numbers on a bad team. This Cal Poly team was really bad, but the talent is there. I mean, just look at the size and just what he's able to do, and you see the tape on this kid. 4 years at Cal Poly, 6'7". I mean, he can score, he can hand out dimes, he can knock down threes. So that size and ability is going to allow Coach Alford there to be pretty versatile with his lineup. So I'm looking for Sanders to make a name for himself in a bigger conference. Nick Boyd, more of a higher floor kind of guy. I mean, he was a critical piece to FAU success the last 2 years. I mean, he's not going to be like this high usage guy. He's not going to make the highlight reels, but he's just really effective on both ends of the floor. And you put him with Coach Dutcher, and obviously Dutcher saw him up close. I mean, the guy knocked down 4 3-pointers against him in the Final Four a couple of years ago. So Boyd's going to fit in nicely to a backcourt that we talked about is looking to replace some of those big-time losses in Butler and Trammell. So excited to see what he's going to bring to that offense there and defense for San Diego State. And then Dexter Acano, when you talk about floor, right, it's, we'll see. The ceiling, though, is absolutely there. I mean, he's kind of like an X Factor type. We like to talk about the X Factors. Last 3 years at Oregon State showed flashes of what could be. I mean, he's got great size. He's 6'5" for a guard. He can produce at all 3 levels. The efficiency hasn't quite been there for him, but I think 2 things are going to really work for him. One, he's going to be playing alongside much better talent, which should elevate his efficiency. And I think the second thing is that he's just not going to be he's going to be in more of he's not going to be asked to do as much. Like, he's going to be a suitable environment to his skill set, which I think is really, really going to help him out and able to produce more efficient stats there for him. So Dexter Acano, a nice pickup here for Utah State, and looking forward to seeing what he does this coming year.
Cardenas, Bourne, Sanders, Boyd, and Acano, 5 key transfers into the Mountain West that we here on this fine basketball program think you should know heading in to this season. Good stuff from Cam, hanging out in the live chat. Good stuff from Mike and Eric, as always, breaking down these players. Always love to get their opinions on some of these transfers coming in. We want to get your opinions too. Make sure you hop in the live chat. If you're watching live, if you're watching later, get in the comments and let us know what's up. Let us know what you think about some of these teams, some of these players. We're going to break down each team here and put them into our tiers. So let us know what you think. Did we put your team in the right tier? Are we showing them the amount of respect? Are we showing them too much respect? Do you got any fans in there that are going to tell us that we're too high on their team? Maybe so. Who knows? But either way, make sure you hop in that chat for sure. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get to the tiers. No, not the tiers that the old breadheads on the East Coast are crying, staying up late for this game. No. What's going on? Where are we at on this football game here? Are we in the
third
it's
quarter? There we go. We're finally in the fourth quarter of this game.
We're in the fourth quarter.
We made it.
We're in the fourth quarter of the Sunday night game, and we are also in the fourth quarter of One and Done, which is the tier section here Let's drop into the tiers. I'm going to, speaking of tiers, oh my gosh, crying. I'm watching Air Force try to play basketball. And on top of that, they lost their best player, Petrias, to Cal this offseason. Out there with my guy Madsen just dancing. Yeah. Out in Cal.
It's back, baby.
Yeah, it is back.
You're back.
It is back, and so will the defensive struggles. They'll also be back for Air Force. Ethan Taylor will be hanging out in their backcourt, and he's going to have to do more than hang out. He's going to have to be on his horse for as many minutes per game trying to keep Air Force in it. Unfortunately, we're going to slot them right down low. Put them in the low tier. Mike, how about Boise? Let me tee this one up for you real fast. Give us some positivity, man.
Right down the middle here, and it's in the high tier, baby. Probably the class of this conference. I mean, you got the two bigs to go along with Cardenas, and then you got more talent. I mean, you got Arizona transfer big Dylan Anderson. He's got some high upside. Sophomore wing Andrew Meadows, a breakout candidate after seeing some limited run last year. Like this team just has all the goods. They've been, they've just been so consistent too. So Boise State not going anywhere, going to be up there in that high tier. Eric, what are your thoughts on old Colorado State?
The Rams of Colorado State, fresh off a 10-8 campaign last year, obviously losing a player the caliber of Stevens hurts, but getting Clifford back was a huge hold. And then you've got guys like Bourne and Purdue transfer Ethan Morton coming in. That will definitely help shore up this backcourt. New Mexico State transfer is sending over their wing, Jaelen Crocker-Johnson. He chipped in 9 points and 5 boards for them last year. Brings good size, brings a toughness to this team. I think this team has a bit of ceiling, right? I think if things break their way, we could be talking about them as a contender in this league. But for now, I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to slot them into our friend, the mid-tier, and I will send it back to the king of the mid-tier, Mr. Jay Heinrich. Jay, what do we need to know about Fresno State?
You mid-tier. Fresno wishes they were in the mid-tier. This is another program like Air Force that's just looking at another long season. It's going to take some time to get this thing turned around. They lost almost all their production last year. Green Bay transfer guard David Douglas, nice piece for them, 8.5 points. Going to look to up that a little bit if Fresno, if the old Bulldogs are going to be successful here, but just not enough on either end, unfortunately. And I hate to do it, but we're going to put Fresno State in the low tier. I'm living in the low tier. Mike, are you living in the low tier, or are you creeping up a little bit?
Well, it depends on what year you're talking about. So Nevada, 13-5 last year. Don't quite think that's the ceiling this year. That Blackshear Lucas loss, it's going to sting. I do like their front court with Davidson. We spotlighted him. Trey Coleman averaged 8.5 points, and KJ Himes is back too, 6.5 points last year. We love the upside of Sanders here and his versatility. Fresno transfer Xavier Ducell can really shoot it. I mean, 11.5 points. 40% from three. I mean, he can provide some spacing, but it's really going to come down to like sophomore guard Tyler Rawlson and some of these other backcourt guys to help sustain, kind of what Blackshear and Lucas brought to them a couple of years ago. We talked to Coach Alford, and you guys should check that interview out. It was from a couple of years ago, but it was nice to talk to Coach, and what he's done in Nevada has been pretty impressive. But just this year, the thing about the Mountain West too is like, this is a conference kind of like the AAC where, I mean, things can change in a hurry for sure. Like last year, we didn't project 6 teams getting in and they got there. I don't know if that's the ceiling this year, but for Nevada, as far as ceiling, I feel like they do have high tier ceiling, but for right now, I want to stick them in the mid. I think we'd like a few other teams a little bit better to kind of start the year, but wouldn't be surprised if they got there by the end of the year. And then we got New Mexico here at 10-8. I got the pieces, right? You got Donovan Dent, you got Nelly Jr. Joseph. I wrote up a piece on drroto.com about breakout candidates, 10 breakout candidates for multi-bid leagues here. And one of those guys is Shrew Washington. He's a guard/wing. He's got big-time stealing. He can provide two-way playmaking ability for them. And you got forward Mustapha Amzil, who transferred in a couple of years ago. He averaged 6.5 points. He's in his second year with the program. He can stretch the floor a lot better than what he did last year. So, you get him next to Nelly Jr. Joseph. You have that inside-outside game. This team has depth. They have some really good incoming freshman talent. So Coach Pitino, Richard Pitino, obviously has this program in a really good spot. So I think we have to slot them in the high tier. And, man, I'm going to send it over to Eric here because I feel like the upside is in the high tier for this squad. But what are we thinking about San Diego State, man? They lost a lot of talent.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's hard not to think about their upside being among the best in the league, especially when in back-to-back years they fall in the tournament to the eventual champion, right? Like you gotta be doing something right to be competing with that caliber of a team. But that was very much so a difficult road for them in the actual conference play last year. They were 11-7. It's kind of a weird spot for Coach Dutcher right now. He's a proven winner, right? But a lot of talent out the door. We're looking at the guys they have on the roster right now. Guys like Waters and Boyd, they need to be big for them in the backcourt. They also have a transfer coming in from Middle Tennessee State, Jared Coleman-Jones. He posted 11 points and 7.5 boards, was a big-time producer in Conference USA. Really looking for one or both of guys like Miles Baird or Miles Heide to break out and give this team some of that upside that we like so much. And while I think we're unanimous in saying that if everything goes right for this team, they can be one of the most competitive in this league. I think they got a lot of things that have to break right for them for that to happen. So I'm gonna hedge my bet a little bit. I'm gonna put them in the mid tier. I'm gonna wait for Coach Dutcher to make me eat these words.
Shocking.
I mean, they were kind of mid though, 11-7 last year. It wasn't like they were in the top 3. So
yeah.
I mean,
hedging your
it's
bets
just weird, right?
Thing that you like to do here, Eric. I mean, you seem to be really hedging a lot tonight with these teams. Are you hedging again with San Diego State now?
I mean, a little bit, right? I have so much confidence and respect for Coach Dutcher that I like his ability to get the most out of his players and to field a competitive team, right? But I mean, trying to be the unbiased, objective one among us. This
Yes.
team is going to look very different from some of his most competitive squads, right? So it'll be a bumpier road if he wants to get there.
The unbiased one, yes, of course. Eric the Blue, known for his unbiased attitude and opinions here on One and Done, bringing the heat there. And okay, tonight, if I'm talking about your team, just close your ears, okay? Because it's San Jose State time, and it ain't pretty, okay? 2 wins last year. It's going to be better. It will be better. I'll give you that.
Ooh.
It's going to be better. How about 5 wins for a ceiling? Can I give you? Would you take it? I bet you would. I bet you would take 5. I bet you would take 5-13 after 2-16 last year. A lot of transfers coming in. So when you're looking through your program at your San Jose State game, you're going to need to familiarize yourself with quite a lot of dudes. Will McClendon is one of those guys who came over from UCLA. 4 points, 35% from 3. Ignore that stuff. He just needs some run. And he's going to get it at San Jose State. And then Utah State wing Josh Uduji averaged 9 points. Gonna have to try to carry the offense, right? Like McClendon and Uduji. What else is there? Not a lot. And there's not a lot defensively. The ceiling seems a little bit scary to me. So unfortunately, we're gonna put them in the low tier for now. I think there'll be some improvement, Eric, but it's not gonna be leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I mean, pretty close to the nowhere to go but up territory for San Jose State. I'll shift gears. I'll at least try to be incrementally more positive. Let's talk about UNLV, 12-6 last year. We talked about Dean Thomas earlier, just an absolute stud at the point guard position. Do they have enough pieces around him to be competitive? Maybe, right? They do have some talent around him. They brought in Jaelen Hill from Oklahoma. He gave them 10.5 points and 6 rebounds. Back in the middle for this team, Oral Roberts guard Jalen Bedford filled up the stat sheet as he's one to do. Almost 15 points, almost 7 rebounds, 37% for 3. Going to provide a lot of pop on the offensive side. On the defensive side, though, they're, are they going to be able? Are they going to be capable enough to, to balance that out? Open question, right? So for me, anytime we're talking about this many questions, I think we're talking about a team that should land in the mid-tier. Mike, close us out here. Utah State, we talked about their former head coach heading out the door. What else do we need to know about this team?
Yeah, so 14-4. I mean, is it possible to go back to back to back with 3 different coaches? I think we're about to find out. And Coach Keylan, I mean, he has the talent. We spotlighted Martinez, Akano. I mean, we could have spotlighted Mason Falslev at 11 points per game last year. Really nice looking player. And then I like the upside of guys like Tucker Anderson comes in from Central Arkansas, kind of a stretch kid, 14.5 points per game. Drake Allen from Utah Valley, 12 points per game. Dayton Albury from Queens, 17 points per game. Like, they have 8 dudes that average. I know this isn't like completely like, you don't just put them all together and that's what's going to happen, right? But they had 8 dudes who averaged double figures in college basketball last year. 3 of them were over 3 assists per game, and 4 of those guys shot north of 35% from 3. So it's really just going to be up to Coach Calhoun to put all the pieces together, get his rotations correct. But if he does, the ceiling is definitely high. Could they drop back into the mid, and you could see someone like Colorado State or Nevada or San Diego State or UNLV? Absolutely. I think of the teams that we have up there in the high tier, which we're going to slot Utah State. They're probably the ones that could potentially fall back. I think New Mexico and Boise are going to be pretty secure up there. And then when you take a look at Wyoming here, 8-10 last year, but defensively, this is probably going to get pretty ugly. There's a lot of transfers to assemble. Denver transfer big, Tuco Dynamo, 15 points, 8 boards. Like, he's going to give the interior boost, and you have Jordan Nesbitt coming in from Hampton who can score the ball a little bit in the backcourt. But overall, I mean, I just see 6 to 7, maybe 8 wins being an absolute ceiling for this team, which is gonna slot Wyoming here into the low. So we'll drop Utah State here into the high, Wyoming into the low, and Jay, wrap it up for us.
I can't help but bring up the fact that anybody between the ages of, like late 30s to mid 40s, when Mike said back to back to back, did anybody else think AAU national championships for Tom Lemanski's? I mean, I know it came to my head right there when he said it for Utah State, and it makes sense to put them in the high tier. But let's start down at the low. The foundation of the conference, as we like to call it. We don't maybe not the low. I mean, it is the low tier. A lot of these teams are going to stink, but maybe some upside here. Low tier: Air Force, Fresno State, San Jose State, and Wyoming. The old mid tier includes Colorado State, Nevada, San Diego State, and UNLV. One of these teams could move up and join the high tier or replace one of these teams in the high: Boise State, New Mexico, and Utah State. A lot of jostling to be done. Guys, is this a 3-bid league this year? And are we looking at those 3 teams, Boise State, New Mexico, and Utah State, being the bid snatchers, if you will? Or, again, will there be a 4th bid? Is it going to take a San Diego State to really, again, we put them in the mid-tier, but do we nobody wants to play a San Diego State team in March, right?
Yeah.
So is this a team that plays well at the right time and gets in? Are we looking at 3 bids as we wrap this up today, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's interesting when we kind of keep chatting about this, because this is a conference to watch, right? Like, this is a conference that could steal a couple. I mean, look at New Mexico's run last year. They're right there on the bubble. Then they won 4 tournament games, and then obviously get in the tournament. That really put them from 5 bids to 6 bids last year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, when you look at the mid, right, like Colorado State, Nevada, and even UNLV with Dean Thomas, like, there's a chance that we could get 4 bids in this league. I think 3 is obviously the absolute floor, because 4 or 5 of these teams are going to be in the top 100 of KenPom's metrics. So the strength of this conference is still going to be in the top 8 or 9, right? Eric, I think the question is, right, like, what do they do in the non-con, man? Like, what do they do in the non-con? And are there any bad losses late in the season? I think is, do you drop one to Air Force? Do you drop one to Wyoming? Like, those are absolute killers at the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely the storyline to watch. The other thing that I'll mention here is I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't know if you guys are paying attention in the mid tier. I mentioned a lot of teams that have some high tier upside, right? And when we talk about the conference tournament,
Injuries.
single game
Yeah.
sample sizes, right? Like, are you telling me that a Bourne for Colorado State can't get hot from behind the arc and launch
Right.
that team to a conference tournament title that will then
Yeah.
become the fourth bid, right? So
Yeah.
that would be where I would place my bet specifically. But I think 4 is the right number, right? There are so many teams that can pull it all together in that conference tournament to be that fourth bid.
Last one before we get out of here. Conference Player of the Year. Is it going to be Deaton Thomas Jr.? Is it going to be Donovan Dent, or is it going to be the field? You can pick Deaton Thomas Jr., you can pick Donovan Dent, or you can take the field for Conference Player of the Year. What's it going to be?
I'm going to go first because it's easy. It's always the field in these types of situations, right? We talked about it with probably the rightful answer with Dent, right? Like, he had 2 guys in front of him that would have been on that short list if you asked this question a year ago.
Yeah.
They both got hurt, and that was his opportunity to shine, right? That door is going to crack open for someone. So
it took away from those guys later in the year.
I'll take the field if I'm betting, but if I have to pick a name, I'm going with Dent.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Dent. I just think that, I mean, this guy can rack up a triple double, and like, he can defensively, he's really good. He can shoot the 3. Like, he's just a monster. I think if Boise State wins the conference outright and they win it by, let's say, 2 games, I think Degenhart will have a shot at it. But the 2 best players in the league to me are Donovan Dent and Dean Thomas for sure. Nick Clifford is kind of interesting, but like, you look at the upper tier, like the echelon, right? Like, there were just so many like superstars where I think we have a couple of superstars in relation to like the Mountain West, right? I think we only have a couple of superstars, and then like 10 guys that are like just right there just underneath that elite level for this conference. Whereas last year we had, I mean, the rosters were stacked, right? We had Osobor, we had House, we had all these guys on these teams that were just like, oh, Isaiah Stevens, right? Like, just a monster the last 4 years of college basketball. So yeah, I'm gonna be placing my bet, I guess, on Donovan Dent here. I think he's gonna be really special this coming year.
Yeah, the answer is the field always, but you gotta love Dent. And we're saying this, and now Deaton Thomas is like, guys, hey,
hello. Just crushed it my freshman year.
All 3 of us are just sitting here like, basically it's saying it's a Dent or the field, and then don't undersell it, guys and gals. Okay, Deaton Thomas Jr. is for real, and he's going to be doing big things out there in Vegas this season. Good stuff there. Nice show for the Mountain West. Love it. Love you hanging out with us. We love Cam for being in the live chat and contributing. Cam, we all write for Dr. Roto. Yes, we do. We absolutely do write for Doc. Doing great stuff over there. We're all doing NFL content. Mike does college basketball content. I think that those 2, we all do NFL stuff. Mike does. I'm sure we all do a lot of other stuff too. But make sure you hop over to drroto.com. I don't think there's an optimizer for college football.
It's too hard.
DFS.
Yeah.
I know there's one for NFL if you get over there and you hop on the site. So make sure, hey, just check it out. Go find some articles that are up there. And there's not a better bang for your buck than drroto.com for sure. So get over there and hang out with us. Follow us on Twitter at FantasyNav. In those Twitter streets is our guy, Eric the Blue, the Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media, at MC Holland34, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. Of course, our guy, Nape C. Hustle, doing big things behind the scenes. He's our guy, Steely Dan, because he don't want to do your dirty work no more, but he does it anyway. That's that dude, Nape C. Hustle. I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train at Dr. William Cannon on Elon's hellhole. My name is Jay Heinrich. We are Green Screens Media. This is one and done. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. Make sure you take care of yourself. And don't go too far. We're hitting these big-time conferences in the not-too-distant future. You know, we're hashing out at least 2 of these a week. Probably Thursday is what Thursday is what we're leaning on here for the upcoming week. So if you have those notification bells on, you don't have to worry about it. You just know, oh, the guys are live. Boom. Let's hop in there and do it. So make sure you got all those buttons pushed. Make sure you tell somebody you love them and you take care of yourself. We'll see you next time right here on One and Done. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.